entities in horror. You know 'em, you love them, or maybe they love to kill you. What happens when a digital entity is given free reign of the internet, or becomes a god of their own sort of metaphysical realm? I'm here to answer that and more in a video all about explaining digital entities. We're going to start with one real popular one and go through some more obscure ones. So starting off with Monica from Doki Doki Literature Club. Monica serves as a tutorial character in the dating sim Doki Doki Literature Club, which is all about romancing girls and, just regular dating sim things. Every girl has their own sort of quirky personality that falls into a different archetype. Like Yuri, I believe it's called a Dandere, Natsuki, the Tsundere, and I believe Sayori is called a Dere. I don't remember. Either way, Monica shows signs very quickly of being sort of more aware than the others, implying at times that she knows this is a game. You can romance everyone in the game, but Monica's the only option that, even though you're given one chance once throughout the entire game, you will just be given one of the two other girls at random. If I believe correctly, it's random. Either way. Until in Act 2, you start to try to romance a girl of your choice, and at the end of Act 1, she turns up your childhood friend Sayori's depression, and she, Then Act 2 continues on without her. Every time she would have popped up, it glitches and warps, and then turns into Monica. And she appears time and time again, though you still can't choose her, being more aware this time. And ultimately, whoever you do decide to romance ends up dead. Whether it's Yuri's or Natsuki's, if you get what I'm saying. YouTube wouldn't appreciate it if I said it, unfortunately. It ends the same. Everything gets deleted but Monica in the classroom, given free reign to basically be a god in this world. She continuously messes with the internal stats of the characters in the game and forces them to die, so there's no one else but her, as you stare into each other forever, eventually given a choice to either leave her and let her exist with your player character, or to delete her, in which she'll delete everything and you can restart the game for game reasons, but she'll attempt to stop you at every chance you can to restart the game. So now that we've gone over the one end of being a god in a digital world, let's go over another. Sonic.exe, also known as Lord X, 2011X, whatever. 2011X, or Sonic.exe, whatever you like to call him, is a entity from a cursed copy of a original Sonic cartridge that was bought at a garage sale, and then after you play it, starts to suck you into the game. You go through the motions of Tails, Knuckles, Eggman, and time again he offs them. One of the standouts being Knuckles, who he really plays with for a while, allowing him to try to punch him and beat him until eventually just murking the shit out of him. And we find out later these are trapped souls in his game that he tortures over and over and over again for eternity, leading into the sequel where he grows more in power and is able to control his domain and treats them all like they're toys. So many souls, so little time, that sort of thing you're probably familiar with. The I am God, all the classic stuff. Now, that is the other end of the spectrum, really. Getting to create your own digital world where you can suck people in and torture them until your heart's content. Now, there are plenty of digital entities within the Sonic.exe sort of subgenre, but there's not enough time in this vid for that, so if you want, let me know, and I will go over a vid doing all sorts of .exe or similar games. Next up is going to be the Fetid King, or Fetid King, I forget what it's pronounced, from Trevor Henderson's universe. Imagine one day you're on your desktop, you're clicking around, maybe you're on your phone or something, you're just doing what you usually do. And then you get a pop-up, right? of something called the Fetid King. And you try to click it off, and every time you click it off, it just gets more intense. It starts off as disturbing, but it gets more and more disturbing every time that you try to click off, and it just says simply, the Fetid King is coming. You don't have long. Your best bet is to try to get rid of your electronics, distance yourself from any screen, and hope that you don't accidentally walk past something and get got. And God forbid you live in New York, then you're you're screwed. Or China, that would suck too. Or like a Chuck E. Cheese. You think if you just like work in the counter or crawl through an arcade machine, that'd be scary. Or maybe not. Next is going to be M.Sue, or the Friendly Hat Man, the Red Hat Man, or the Friendly Plumber Virus. The Friendly Plumber Virus is such an interesting, unique case, being implied to be a yokai, or I guess rather shown to be one. But at its core, it masquerades as a sort of desktop assistant, taking you out of things that you're doing and putting you into its own game, its own world. But as well as being able to force you into certain programs and force stop some of your programs, it also can do things like close your programs, and it has been shown to even be able to come from behind something like a YouTube vid and grab it and close it, because it really doesn't like to be viewed, seen, watched, recorded, anything. Even at one point asking why it's being recorded directly to the person of interest, which means he definitely exists in a weird reality that is not just a computer virus. Also being seen in games like Slender the Arrival, SCP Containment Breach, Minecraft, Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion, and many, many others. Though the most common game to see it in is a warped, twisted version of Mario 64. And also, if I remember correctly, a Japanese equivalent of YouTube, where it takes on the form of a yokai. Oh, it was also seen in Gmod in a terrifying clip, really emulating the feeling of certain games where you have that fear of being not alone in a single-player game, popping up from beside the screen, giving a little wave, and then pissing off. But that's all for the Red Hat Man. Jesus, I keep mixing. Next is the Server Blight. Server Blight is an entity that resides in the peak shooter game Team Fortress 2, which, if you haven't played it, go give it a play. Putas pow. Anyhow, it masquerades as a player before attacking and consuming a player into its hive mind of flesh and screaming, writhing misery. It starts off kind of wrong. It's not right, and it can't really masquerade as a player right, but with each person it assimilates. It then learns more, being able to repeat lines it's heard over mic, being able to type in chat, being able to eventually fully understand how to be a player for the most part. The only way to get away from it is to kill your player and get out of bounds, but eventually it learns from that too, grabbing players before they can get to the bottom of the pit and getting consumed and assimilated. Nothing was scarier than seeing it as a soldier use a scout-only taunt. The Server Blight is a terrifying monstrosity of eldritch abomination that nobody really knows how long it's been around. All we know is it's getting smarter. Capture the Intelligence. Capture the Intelligence is a digital entity taking the form of the Engineer in a sort of comedic horror game, where one night you're playing TF2 and you suddenly can't pull yourself in the game. You're trapped. You're trapped in the game with twisted versions of TF2's characters hunting you down. You make your way through each level before eventually getting out into the real world, only to realize the Engineer's not there. You go back in, climb the tower, only to find out that what you thought was true maybe wasn't so true after all. And whatever mechanism he was working on could potentially live on long after he has. But as always, that's all I got for this one. Let me know what you thought down below. If you liked it, like, comment, subscribe, stuff. I greatly appreciate it. Just like and share it from the group chat. Make fun of me. I'll see you in the video, and I'll see you, Space Cowboy.